Hey there, today we're going to be talking about One Piece chapter 1076, Old Friends. So much to cover in this chapter. It's a Shanks chapter, but before we get into that, we're going to cover everything else that happened to it so we can really dive into what happened with Shanks. Right away, Luffy and Zorro team up with Kaku and Lucci to fight the Seraphim, and Luffy agrees basically because he's just so gullible. He just believes Kaku when he says, we're not gonna fight, we're gonna happily go back into our handcuffs, please take us. But Luffy does make a lot of sense when he says to Lucci, well, you can't beat me, so I trust that you're just gonna go back into handcuffs. Bro, that's not nice, Luffy. That's mean, okay? I know that had to sting for Lucci to hear that. He says, you can't beat me. This is Luffy. Luffy ended his career as he knew it. He was just on a trajectory for greatness, untouchable. And then all of a sudden this nobody, this just random punk pirate whooped his ass just narrowly too. And now it's at the point where he's just like, you can't beat me. You can't touch me. And inside Lucci has to know that. He has to like come to terms with that. So I'm not really worried about Luffy and Zorro. No way they end up any other way than just standing victoriously over the Seraphim. But this is a good opportunity to see how strong the Seraphim really are, because I don't see them beating Luffy, Zorro, Kaku, and Lucci. Just saying that out loud. It's crazy to think that they're working together for whatever reason. But this whole story has been about Luffy making unusual alliances, and even just his crew is just very strange. They're from all walks of life. And he just makes it work, so we'll see. Maybe Lucci's joining the crew too. Elsewhere, Vegapunk is captured, and we see him in the same confinements as the CP agents. Now, we know there's a mystery Saboteur amongst the party somewhere, and we think it could be one of the satellites. And this right here is making me think it might be Lilith again, because Lilith was defending the island. She confronts the ships. It seems like that's her role. So I assumed way back then, even by the way her reaction to the accusation that these CP agents were missing, made me believe that Lilith is the person who has been confronting these CP agents' ships, destroying them, but now we see them captured, so maybe capturing them as well. And now you see Vegapunk. And again, the evil satellite would be the first suspect in assuming that somebody's going to be a saboteur or whatever, just up to no good. So now I'm like, oh, maybe Lilith is the one who is behind all of this, sabotaging going on. I wouldn't put it past her. I mean, I guess it kind of is, it's just very much the obvious choice. You label somebody as the evil one, and then when somebody mysterious is doing something bad, you just point to them. It's just strange. Now, maybe it's just me trying to fight bias, but the way I just laid it out. But I don't know, it very much could be Lilith. And I mean, I guess I'd be okay with that. I still think it could be Shaka and Pythagoras, alright? Just because of other reasons, and I got into the last chapter, you can go look at that. Moving on, one last thing we learn is S-Hawk's Devil Fruit power. And we've been wanting to know this a long time, since back when Jinbei's or S-Shark's power was revealed. It was just setting us up like, oh, now what's Mihawk's power gonna be? Did they give him one? Maybe they didn't, maybe it's just Jinbei, I don't know. But then I already had made up my mind about what I wanted to see, and we get a Dice fruit. Das Bones fruit, if you don't remember from way back. Of course, he was a prisoner, so they probably had access to his blood. I don't know, I feel like while this is cool, Buggy's fruit would have been way better. I mean, you saw his performance against Mihawk at the Marineford War. You saw that he's just basically like anti-Mihawk, like you can't do anything against him. And having that power would just be ridiculously good, especially in a fight against Zorro. So fighting this Mihawk Seraphim, I don't think it's going to be up to, there's no way they can be better than the original, especially being little baby versions of them. Maybe when they're adults, but right now, this would be an inferior version of Mihawk to me. So seeing him with a ability that counters what Zorro can do so well would be like a way to kind of close the gap and see a real test of Zorro's abilities and growth throughout this last, after the time skip. On to Shanks. On to Shanks, we finally get some an actual chapter about Elbaf. we're there. Man, it's actually nice to see. They even start off with this scene that kind of resembles the very first scene of the manga, where Shanks is about to leave, and Luffy was being a brat, you know, saying he wants to go, and, you know, Shanks rejecting him. And anyway, they have this same scene basically play out here with giant new Luffy. And I don't know, it was just really nice to see. It just brought a smile to my face. Everything else from the rest of this chapter, I was just smiling because it's Shanks, and they had this really cool like page where Shanks was just like over all of the panels, and it just looked great. It just kind of, it was almost, to me, it was like, oh, Oda was telling me that, you know what, I know you've been waiting a long time. This is going to be a Shanks arc. Here you go. And I don't know. I'm hesitant to say that this is about to be a Shanks arc, but it's looking like it's going to be a Shanks arc, or at least we're going to be getting a lot of the what's going on with Shanks throughout this arc while we're watching what's going on with Luffy. So I really want to know what's going on with Law, though. They've been really, that was like a long time ago. It feels like forever ago. What happened? I'm probably going to find out in the news. We also see Kid is interrupting this kind of, I don't know, disembarkation or embarkation party, and ruins it by getting into a scuffle with one of the underlings, or one of the people that pledged themselves to Red Hair Shanks. And Shanks is aware of it. They're telling him, hey, this little fuckers out here messing around. What do you want to do about it, boss? And he's just finishing his drink, telling him, like, look, let's go ahead and get them pony glyphs. He is totally committed to ruining Kid's dream here, ending up his whole journey, taking his pony glyphs, and then sending him home with another arm missing. Speaking of which, we learned that Kid didn't even lose his arm to Shanks. He didn't even get to see Shanks last time they fought, or last time they, you know, ran into the Red Hair Pirates. So, like, I really don't understand what Kid's plan is here. It doesn't seem like he's got one. But the last panel says it all. You see Kid, after he's just got done talking about, you know, his potential victory, how he says, if I win, or if I lose, or whatever. Like, it's not a certainty for him. And then we see stoic Shanks, looking not really bothered or concerned. And in those two views, I see Kid looking at a potential future for himself, as hopefully a potential victory. And then I see Shanks literally looking, probably with hockey, miles away at Kid and the Kid pirates on the ship. We saw what both of these pirates can do. We saw a very small glimpse of what Shanks can do, but we saw basically everything that Kid has to offer. I mean, what the pirate, his crew, has to offer. He's got Killer, and we haven't seen anything from the rest of his crew. But what we did see from the little teeny sliver of what Shanks did to that admiral just shows us that Kid's not ready. He's walking into his death. I don't know if Shanks and them is ruthless. I'm sure they are just about as ruthless as they need to be. But this might be the end of Kid. You know, if any of the supernovas were gonna die, I could see it being Kid. Anyway, there's a break next week, so we'll see you for 1077, not next week, but the week after. Like this video, comment down below, let me know what you thought about this chapter, and I'll see you next week.